while Inherent Vice is way more than a 0 for me, Phantom Thread is much more potent.
Mm.
I mean, that to me is a top 2 Anderson movies. So,
well, it's interesting to me that because I watched it again the other night, and I just from watching other interviews with you, and I know you said that was a favorite of yours, of his, or your favorite of his. And at first I was surprised because I see, again, that was a film of his that I thought it was all right when I first saw it, and I watched it the other night, and I really loved it, and I can see why I didn't at first, because and you had mentioned a critic who also had I misread the film because it's just right when Me Too broke, and I was having a hard time seeing a brand new film with a lead, one of the leads, Daniel Day-Lewis plays, being this mean and this controlling, and he's abusive to an extent. And when I saw it again, I can really see, like, it's actually her movie. I mean, this is like, she gradually finds ways, and it's very funny to take control, and it is a battle of the sexes. I mean, I thought it was so well done, and I think really it's saying something about relationships that I think are very true. As much as you love someone, they have a lot of flaws, you have a lot of flaws, and it is a constant battle, which is not always good, but sometimes keeps things interesting.
there's a reason why it's his most memeable movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, I hesitate to call anything universal, and there's always, something perilous about calling, let's say, a period heterosexual romance universal. I mean, it's not. But there is something about those characters, about how their relationship goes and where it ends up and what they want and don't want out of each other, that I think a lot of people will find relatable if they can see past the surface.
Oh, definitely.
Or if they could. Yeah, or if they can see past the mannered kind of period piece pretense of it, which is why in some ways it's one of his most practical, and I think for all of its perversity, it's really one of his warmest. I
agree. Yeah.
It sort of is basically a movie that makes you want to look at your partner and be like, okay, what can we do, but we don't want to lose anything. And that's all intersected in the film with all sorts of funny stuff about fairy tales and gender roles, comeuppance, and what does it mean to be cared for, things that are pretty rich.
Oh no, I totally agree. I know you have to go in a few minutes. One thing about the film I was curious about is, because of course it resembles Rebecca. Hitchcock's Rebecca was a strong influence. It's clear as day. And one thing that I was curious your opinion on this was that, what do you think she saw in him, outside of the fact that he was very rich and famous, and she was, as you said, it was the suggestion was that she's a Jewish refugee, and what do you feel her appeal to him was? I was curious, what do you think it was about this man that she was falling for?
I think it's about being in love with. It's about being in love with a brand, and also about being in love with someone who embodies these ideals and this accomplishment. I think part of what she's in love with is that she can see through it a bit too. It's the love of, I can fix him, or I can change him,
right?
I can improve in some ways on perfection. I mean, I think that
I like that she says to him, "You're not so tough," and she's right. Like, he really isn't.
No, and the degree
his sister even like cuts him down to size,
and the degree to which he's not tough, the degree to which actually he's a complete mama's boy kind of little catastrophe, is very funny.
It's very much so. I was really.
It's an unraveling of these myths of masterfulness
Hmm.
Obviously, at the time and subsequent, Anderson has admitted had an autobiographical aspect, which is why I really, really like Licorice Pizza.
I
I
still have to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
haven't seen it. I don't have a but about it. I really like it, but I'll add an and it's a somewhat quizzical and, which is that it repeats the young striving entrepreneur type character in the form of this kid played by Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, who's very appealing. And it also repeats the suffering partner aspect through Alana Haim's character, except that unlike in Phantom Thread, where Day Lewis is much older, in Licorice Pizza, she's the older woman, right? And it's a different period, it's all that. But I was watching Licorice Pizza going, it's interesting that after Phantom Thread, he has now regressed back to
Hmm.
idealized, romanticized 70s adolescence. I don't have a negative thing to say about the movie, not really. I think it's really lovely and really enjoyable. But not only is it not breaking new ground, it's kind of actively regressing in terms
Hmm.
of back into the idea that being the coolest, hardest driving, most hustlingest kid around is kind of a triumph in and of itself. Be interested to know what you think when you see it. Very,
Yeah. Yeah.
very good film, and it's
Yeah.
pleasure,
No, I'm looking forward to it.
but
Yeah.
something a little odd about what it's about versus what we seem to be getting at in,
Hmm.
in Phantom Thread.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I want to thank all of my members on Patreon. If you're interested in becoming a member of my Patreon, head over to the link patreon.com/Robert Bellissimo at the movies for full details. You can also leave a donation directly to my YouTube channel by pressing the thanks link, which you will find just below the video frame, right beside the like and dislike links. Just click the thanks link, and from there, you can leave a donation if you choose to. And lastly, if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is absolutely free to do so. By pressing the Robert Bellissimo at the Movies logo, you will see it floating above my head in the top left corner to your top left. In just a second, just click on that. And then click the bell in order to get a notification every time I release one of my new episodes. Thank you so much, everyone. I will see you in the next episode.